Now, from the London Center in Phoenix, it's the Pat McMahon Show.
I have a friend that works at KTAR, my radio home. And when I first met him, here was this guy that was a truck. He was, I'm talking about 330, 340 pounds. And I don't say that derisively, he's so large that when he walked into the room, that's what you saw. He's now, I think he's under 200, and he had surgery. And he did a lot of research, and I'm glad that Dr. Robin Blackstone has too, because Dr. Blackstone is director of the Scottsdale Bariatric Center. Talk to me about bariatric surgery. Define the term, first of all, if you will.
It's basically a set of procedures that we do on patients who have gained a lot of weight over their lifetime and who are interested in trying to control some of the medical problems that weight causes. So, when you have a lot of weight, you're carrying a lot of weight, you often become diabetic, you get high blood pressure, you have sleep apnea, your joints hurt all the time, and it turns out that if you can lose that weight, you get rid of all those medical problems, or many of them diminish.
But doctor, right now, those smart aleck cotton swabs that are sitting out there, having never put on, the ones that eat an olive and feel like they're stuffed,
right.
And they're saying, oh, well, why don't they just simply lose the weight instead of having somebody cut it off? They're lazy. What is the reaction that you have to that?
Well, in the old days, everyone thought that it was just a pushing away from the table, but we've really begun to understand that the interaction of genetics with our particular environment is like a perfect storm for a lot of people whose ancestors survived because they had this ability to store fat. Well, in our environment, that becomes a real disease. And for most of our patients, they've tried everything to lose their weight, really made committed efforts for a very long time, and they need help. And so that's what the surgeries do.
And
they provide them that help.
The emotional toll that it takes when you're the kid in school who gets razzed, and when you are the adult that has to put up with that same kind of harassment in the office, and on and on and on. It isn't just a matter of going to Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig for an awful lot of people, but how invasive is this surgery, and how many kinds are there? My friend that I was talking about, he checked out 2 or 3 different kinds. Now, what is this picture that we're looking at here?
This is the classic gastric bypass operation.
Yes, that's the one I think most
right.
people are familiar.
Most people in the United States have had this operation, and basically it's a situation done mostly laparoscopically now through very small incisions, and the patient comes after a great deal of education, and when you go in the abdomen, you're going to divide the stomach, and you make a little small piece at the top. That becomes their new stomach. So obviously they're restricted in how much food they can eat, and then the food passes down that channel called the jejunum to where the digestive juice enters in. So it's a little bit malabsorptive, mostly restrictive.
I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
And if I've often thought about this, because I'm thankful and grateful that while I usually have a few extra pounds that I would like to get rid of, I can do that with exercise or a little self-control at the table, so I don't have that morbidly obese problem. But I think, if I did, I wonder if I would be able to enjoy that part of my life, going to a fine restaurant and really enjoying food.
You can, but you have to eat within certain limits. And early on after the procedure, people really can't eat a lot of carbohydrates, although eventually their diet becomes much more even. And, for a lot of fancy restaurants, they serve pretty small portions, so that works out pretty good. The part that I think is hard for a lot of people is when you've had a gastric bypass, you really shouldn't be drinking a lot of alcohol. And we kind of say no alcohol, really, because the absorption's really strong.
Well, we have a guest that is going to be coming on, and she's going to be talking about that and her family. I mean, the fascinating story that Jackie Guerra has to say to you. This is the lady, Hottie, right? Taking a look at the cover and saying, well, wait just a second, hold on. If I could look like Jackie, why would I want to go to the doctor? Well, Jackie's going to tell you. in just a few minutes. I love this subtitle. How I've Gained and Lost Millions of Dollars and Hundreds of Pounds.
That's so true.
Well, you're going to meet Jackie and another doctor in just a moment. But is it not extraordinarily important, high priority, that you do your own research like my friend did, finding out about the procedure that's right and the person who will be practicing the procedure is right?
That is true. The other major procedure that's done now is the adjustable gastric band, which is another type of restrictive procedure. I think you have a picture of that also. And that just is a band that goes around the top of the stomach, and you have a port where you can actually close the opening down a little bit, making it restrictive, but you see that the stomach's not really divided. So this is gaining a lot in popularity. But regardless of which procedures you have, Pat, you really need to be careful in your research, because there's a lot of support that needs to happen around this procedure. Education, support groups, good access to people who can help you through some of the issues that come up as you're trying to lose this weight.
Who's an ideal person to come into your office to research this with you? Who's a potential patient that would be someone who should seriously consider this?
Well, if you're 75 pounds to 100 pounds or more overweight, and if you either have a strong family history of diabetes and high blood pressure and weight, or you already have those problems, those are the right people to be seeking surgery. And it's all about your health, really, and about getting with the right person to choose the right procedure for yourself. Most of the docs that are centers of excellence, people that are committed to providing a really good program overall, and they've been site visited and verified nationally. So patients could really look to that Center of Excellence designation as a way to sort people out.
Okay, we hear about the risks, and I've only got a few seconds before we introduce our next two guests. But we hear about the risks. Is it a high-risk kind of decision that you're making with this?
Any surgery should be considered serious, making a serious decision. But nowadays, I think the risks are very controllable, especially if you're going to a really good doctor and a really good reputation.
Well, I would bet that would probably be applicable to our guest right now, Dr. Robin Blackstone, surgeon and director of the Scottsdale Bariatric Center. And I'm particularly grateful that you showed up, because for years I thought that the Bariatric Lap Band was a recording group. And so I'm glad if you clear that up with me, I'm ahead of the game right now. More about this. Yes? This young lady and her story and the doctor that goes with it in just a moment on ACTV. Aren't we having a good time?